Fox News alert, President Biden is just about to leave Saudi Arabia following a 3-day trip to the Middle East.
But what does he have in hand? He's leaving with some disappointing news after the Saudi crown prince says they may not have any more oil to spare for the United States.
Peter Doocy is live in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia with more. Hi, Peter.
And we ended yesterday here in Saudi Arabia listening to the president talk about how he had a productive conversation with the Saudi crown prince and that within the next couple weeks, gas prices were going to start to come down in the United States because of something that he agreed to privately with Mohammed bin Salman. But MBS then comes out today, steps up to the mic to say that the Saudi capacity, the maximum capacity right now, which is about 12 million barrels, can only go up a little bit more, if at all. Listen to this.
The kingdom will play its role in this era as it announced to increase the level of maximum sustainable production capacity to more than 13 million barrels. Beyond that, the kingdom will not have any further production capacity.
So that would mean the capacity at the most could go about 1 million more barrels a day here in Saudi Arabia. 1 million barrels a day is what President Biden is releasing from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. And as we've seen over the last several months since he's been dropping barrels onto the market, it's really not having a big impact on gas prices, at least not at this point. It's also unclear what President Biden thinks about what MBS just said publicly, but he really shouldn't be surprised because we have this clip of Emmanuel Macron 2 weeks ago in the Bavarian Alps at the G7 telling Biden this was going to happen. Listen to this.
With your advice, I took the commission to call MBS. So I call for increasing the production by renewables. So I got him, he told me two things. One, I'm at the maximum, what he claimed, and he told me this is my prepaid commitment. Second, he told me, according to us, the Saudis can increase a little bit, but 150 or a little bit more, and they don't have huge capacities at this stage, before 6 months' time.
So we know the Saudi crown prince got the president of the United States to bring Air Force One here for a 2-day long meeting. We know that that is a great look for the Saudis in the region and on the world stage. But President Biden right now is on his way back to Air Force One to go home. It's unclear what exactly he got here that is going to provide relief for Americans struggling with high gas prices right now. Back to you.
So that is stunning sound, Peter. That is it. It answers the question I was about to ask you of how blindsided the Biden administration might have been by what we just heard from MBS, from the Saudi crown prince. Therefore, what was the point in this trip, Peter? Therefore, why did he go to Saudi Arabia?
Well, maybe he was hoping for a different answer, but it sounds like he did not. It sounds like he didn't get it. And he was told, you know, our capacity can only go up a little bit more. What do you want us to do? And so the president's going to have to figure this out because he was talking last night about how he came up with something with the Saudis to bring gas prices down within the next couple weeks. So the president's got a couple weeks to come up with something.
Peter, you're on the ground with White House staff, the press secretary, others. When you just showed those images of the American delegation listening to the words of the Saudi crown prince, there was a look of defeat on the face of Antony Blinken, the president, Jake Sullivan. Are you getting any indication from White House staff? Are they feeling good about this, disappointed, or is it what was expected?
Well, the looks that they're giving might be more reflective of the fact that all that anybody is really talking about with this trip is that President Biden had such a cozy greeting with Mohammed bin Salman. And so last night and yesterday, right as soon as it happened, people aren't talking about the president's agenda in the Middle East. They're not talking about how the president is trying to get people to do business with the U.S. instead of China and Russia. They're talking about whether or not a fist bump is friendlier or less friendly than a handshake, whether or not it's appropriate to do that before they talk about human rights issues with the Saudis. And so the sense that I get is that if there's one thing that White House officials on this trip are would rather went differently. It's that, and it's that people would be talking about other stuff other than the fist bump. But then again, we're talking about all this over here, and we have been for the last couple days. Every day that he's over here, it's a day that we're not talking about inflation back at home, which is going to be waiting for him in about 13 hours.
It's a fair point, Peter. Thank you very much for covering every angle of this. We really appreciate it. From Israel now to Saudi Arabia.